Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited to be doing the wishlist tag. I can't remember who it was, mention that they wanted to do this tag and that this tag was like a thing. So I looked it up on YouTube and found the original tag by Drea. I had never watched her channel before, but after this, I think I'm definitely going to have to start watching more of her videos. This was such a fun idea for a tag that I knew I had to get in on it. So without further ado, let's start the tag. So I have the questions and my wish list on my phone. So if I'm looking down a lot, that is why. So the first question is, what is the very next makeup product that you are planning on buying? This is really difficult for me. I haven't thought at all about my answers. I've looked at the questions, I've obviously watched the video, but I haven't at all thought exactly what I was going to say. I knew I had some answers when I was watching the video, but I have recently placed an order. I think the biggest thing that's sticking out in my mind right now is the ColourPop Yes Please palette. I have considered buying it like a million times, a million Ulta orders. I'm always like, do I just grab that really quickly? You know, people love it. And I don't actually have, in my head I have a lot of warm palettes, but once I actually went through them, I was like, no you don't. It's not so much that I love warm palettes or that I hate warm palettes, it's just that it's not always my thing to do a warm makeup look. So I was kind of considering picking up the ColourPop Yes Please palette. I've considered it over and over again, and I think after watching a couple videos lately where it's been mentioned, I think I want to pick it up. I know my old roommate had it, and I was looking at it and I was like, okay, this is really pretty. So I think that's probably the next product I pick up. Second question is, if you could walk into Sephora today and buy any product, regardless of budget, what would it be? So my first thought was that I would pick up a Natasha Denona palette, but then once I started thinking about that, the more I was like, really? Like, is that really what you would buy? Because I don't know, there's just something about it that I'm kind of like, is that worth it? And I think if I was gonna pick up a Natasha Denona palette, like regardless of budget, the palette that calls to me most is her, what is it called? The eyeshadow palette 28 in the purple blue edition. I just think it's really pretty and different and would be a nice little addition to my collection, but I'm not totally sure if that's what I would pick up from ColourPop, or not from ColourPop, what? If I had no budget and it didn't matter what I bought, I'm not totally sure. I was thinking maybe I would pick up the Dyson hairdryer or a GHD straightener, just because that is stuff that I have thought of purchasing in the past, but I'm always like, that's excessively expensive. So I'm not totally sure, but I think it would have to be one of those things. I believe Drea was talking about brushes, and that would also be like a super smart purchase decision, but there's a part of me that now that I've like thought about the Natasha palette, that was my initial reaction, was like, Natasha Denona palette in some capacity, just because they're so expensive but they're so pretty. Ooh, or Pat McGrath. There's also a part of me that would want to pick up a Pat McGrath palette because people like love her, and I've just seen that her formula looks amazing. I know I've said in a previous video that I would never purchase from Pat McGrath because it's too expensive, but if I had no budget, I definitely would pick up something of hers. It's kind of hard. I don't have anything specifically that I'm like really lusting after, which I guess is a good thing because I'm not sitting here being like, I wish I could spend hundreds of dollars on this one product. But it would probably have to be one of those pricier eyeshadow palettes. I think would definitely be what I would pick up. The third question is, what is the oldest item on your Sephora loves list? Yep, I was right. So I actually recently, well, kind of recently, I think back in like April, picked up my oldest item, which was the Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Powder. I had put that on my list really when I first started shopping at Sephora, and just recently decided to pick it up. So now my oldest item is the Kevyn Aucoin Sculpting Powder in Light. I know I've definitely had like older stuff on there, but I've decluttered it off my wish list since then. I want to say it was Jessica Braun maybe who got me onto the sculpting powder. I believe I actually put this on the list back when contour palettes were still like what people had had, and I know I just like bought the Kat Von D contour palette and stuff, and somebody made the point like you don't need a contour palette, you just need like a contour shade that works for you. And that was when I was like, oh yeah. And they had mentioned the Kevyn Aucoin sculpting powder in that video, and that was like all of a sudden like, ooh, I should put that on my list. And I've never picked it up, mostly because I don't contour all that often, and I do have contour kits and other bronzers that work as contours, so I haven't picked it up just because it's like, you don't really need that. Next, we have what is the newest item on your Sephora loves list. So that would be the Natasha Denona Super Glow Highlighter in #1 Fair Icy Ivory. I wasn't initially interested in this when I saw this on Trend Mood. I was kind of just like, oh, whatever, it's another really expensive Natasha Denona product. $38 for a highlighter, which now that I think about it is like what a lot of highlighters cost. After seeing Samantha March use it in one of her videos, I was like, oh god, oh no, I kind of want that a lot. And I don't know, there's just something about them that look really gorgeous, and I'm very intrigued. I don't think I'm gonna pick it up just anytime soon, just because I definitely don't need more highlighters, but there's a part of me that's like, oh, I want that really bad. Next up, we have what perfume is at the top of your wish list. And I think like a month ago it would have been Viktor and Rolf Bon Bon, but I have since purchased that. Recently I have just been picking up a lot of the perfumes that have been on my wish list, so let me go through my loves list and see what perfumes I have on there. So I surprisingly don't have that many specific perfumes on my wish list right now. I have like Black Orchid and French Grey from Elizabeth and James, and I am in need of a new white Nirvana. But I think probably if I was gonna buy a fragrance right now, it would definitely be a new Jo Malone. I'm not totally sure which one. I find it really fun just to like go and smell all the Jo Malones and pick them out. I love the Jo Malone counter at Nordstrom. It's really fun. They like the workers there just have been really nice, and they make it like an experience. They, you know, they're like, oh, you like this, you might like this, mix this with this, and they are just very attentive, and they listen to what you like and what you don't like, and I've had just like the most fun, and I have gotten talked into buying 2 at a time in the past. I think if I wanted a new fragrance, it would probably be a Jo Malone, just because I find them so beautiful, and there's nothing else other than the new Nirvana White that really sticks out to me as something that I need right now. Number 6 is what is the new release you've been looking most forward to, and I'm really happy to say that right now there's not a new release that is calling to me to order now. I've recently picked up a bunch of new releases. I got the Norvina palette, I got the Dose of Colors and I Love Sarah E collaboration palette, I got the mini Lila palette from Natasha Denona. I was really excited about all of those. I think the one that I was most excited about was the Dose of Colors and I Love Sarah E collaboration. I actually have that on my eyes today. I've been playing around with it. I was super excited about it, and I don't really know why. I saw it on Trend Mood and I was immediately like, I want that so badly. But I don't think there's anything that is not out yet that I'm super inclined to want to buy yet. I feel like every day there's something new coming out, and every day I'm like being tested. But I think in the past couple weeks, the thing I was most excited for were the Dose of Colors palette and the Norvina palette for sure. That was just those were just some palettes that I was like, those are gorgeous. And then with the Anastasia palette, I was like, oh, I own all of the other ones that have come out recently, so I should own that one. But I was also really excited because it was gorgeous. But there's nothing that is about to come out or about to be released that I am that drawn to as of right now. Number 7 is, are there any drugstore products you want but haven't yet pulled the trigger on? And that would definitely be the ColourPop Yes Please palette. I was thinking I was gonna pick up the Zodiac ColourPop Kathleen Light's collaboration, but after looking at the palette some more and looking at all the products, I just am not that called to it. I am more interested in the Dream Street palette though. I don't know why. I think that has just started to call to me more recently. I've also been really interested in the Wet n Wild Zodiac collection. I know people are like so excited about that, and that has gone over really well. I think the only thing though that I would probably pick up would be the Cancer lip gloss, just because I am a Cancer, and that would be the only thing that I would really be that interested in picking up. But yeah, I think if I was going to pull the trigger on something drugstore wise, it would be a ColourPop product, just because I do enjoy ColourPop products, and there is quite a few things in their collection that I haven't tried that I have been thinking about trying. Number 8 is the eyeshadow palette you're lusting over the most. See, that's a really big problem for me, just because I have bought a lot of the products. I was really lusting after the mini magic palette from Juvia's Place. I picked that up when I got the Dose of Colors palette. I was super excited about the Dose of Colors palette. I was super excited about the Norvina palette, and then after all of those were purchased, the mini Lila was calling to me, so I picked it up. I'm gonna look to see if anything other than the Yes Please palette has been calling to me recently. The actual only palettes that I have on my wish list that aren't ColourPop are actually Viseart or Viseart palettes. I've been really interested in like their Theory palettes. What else is there on here? I have 3 of them. I have the like little 12 pan palette in Bridal Satin that's really interesting me, and then the Golden eyeshadow palette. Those are 3 that I think that's a brand that has always gotten really good reviews, and I've always seen like very, you know, solid products from, but I've never tried. So I'm always very intrigued and interested in trying them, but I've never pulled the trigger, and I'm just not sure. I think they're not calling to me right now. Like, I've definitely had moments where I've been like, I should pick that up, but somehow I always talk myself out of it. So I think like as of lusting over products right now, it would probably have to be the Yes Please palette, which is crazy because it is pretty old by new releases standards, because I'm not really lusting over the Viseart palettes. I'm just kind of intrigued by them, but I don't know if I'm gonna pick them up. Number 9 is the product you're waiting for your next birthday / Christmas to ask for. That's really easy for me. I have 2. The first would be the Nirvana White perfume by Elizabeth and James, and the second would be a new Naked palette. I think the main reason I want them as gifts is because I don't want to purchase them myself, and that sounds really weird, but I think as far as perfume goes, I have no problem purchasing perfume on my own, but I think because it is a repurchase, it's not quite as exciting, and it's not necessarily something that I want to spend my money on. That sounds awful, but I think with makeup purchasing, it is so fun and like extra for me that I don't necessarily want to spend my money on repurchasing something, even though the Naked palette and the Nirvana White are like holy grail favorites, can't live without them. I still am like, I think I'm gonna wait for Christmas and ask for it then. I haven't run out of either of them. My Naked palette I'm panning, and I still have a long way to go, but it is quite old. And my Nirvana White I haven't actually used all the way up yet, but I am definitely reaching the end of. So I think I'm definitely gonna wait for Christmas and just be like, I'm gonna slip these on the wish list and top spaces, be like, yeah, I desperately need these. So number 10, I'm not sure I can answer, and that is, what is the item that you're dying to have that is not available in your country or area? I live in America, obviously, and I feel like we're super lucky that most of the makeup products are released to us and in a timely manner, and that we don't have to pay for crazy shipping costs and stuff like that, and it's mostly available to us. I've seen a few palettes recently that I've been intrigued by, but then they've been, you know, UK releases and things like that, and I've, you know, been like, I'm kind of weird with like conversion and stuff, and I don't know why I'm like uncomfortable ordering when things are in pounds, because I think there's a part of me that's just like, what am I paying? Even though I can Google it, I don't know, I get really weird. But there's nothing that I'm like, oh, I'm so sad I can't get that, mostly because I am in America, so I am super lucky and blessed to be able to access most of the releases. Number 11 is, what is the thing that you really want but you'll never buy because it's too expensive? Probably a Viseart or Viseart palette. I don't see myself ever purchasing one realistically, just because I know that I have so many palettes, and that there are so many palettes out there that have great formula and great pigmentation and great color stories and everything, and they're like nowhere near as expensive as Viseart. And I know Viseart is not nearly as expensive as things like Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona, which are other two brands that I probably will never buy full-size palettes from just because it is so expensive. But I think Viseart is probably the number one because it's not that expensive, but there's a part of me that's just like, because like the Theory palette I want is like very neutral, and I don't think I'll ever bite the bullet and get it just because I know it's a tiny little pocket palette. What I like little palettes, but it's a tiny pocket palette of shades I definitely already own. And while the Bridal Satin and the Golden palette are slightly different, I have a feeling I'm gonna either be scared off by the price because, you know, oh, it's only 12 pans or 9 pans or however many come in them, and you know, I could get more shades for that and things like that. I don't know. And I definitely think as far as like really wanting something, I'm pretty good with knowing when, wow, I really, really want that, I'm going to invest in it, and when I'm like, you're not gonna be interested in a little bit. And that's been the case with all the Natasha Denona. I've, you know, thought about getting the Sunset palette. My old roommate had the Sunset palette and it's beautiful, but it's never called to me to the point where I'm like, I need it. So I think probably the most realistic thing that I would ever purchase but probably won't would be the Viseart palettes. Number 12 is, if there was a beauty product genie who could grant you one wish, what would you wish for? Ooh. I think I would wish for a foundation that mattified me, but still looked, or sorry, not mattified, kept my oils at bay all day, still looked like skin, and came in a shade that matched me perfectly. I am so fair that a lot of the times I struggle finding a shade that does match me really, really well. Either the undertone's weird, it's slightly too dark, I find that I struggle a lot with finding something that's going to match me perfectly, on top of the fact that I have an excessively oily T-zone and my oils never stay at bay, on top of the fact that I don't looking like I have a mask on, so I'm not super into full coverage as much as I used to be. So I like my face to still look like skin and not so much like a mask, and I kind of like the natural look of a foundation, but I also want my oils at bay, but I also want it to match me. So it's a lot, and I would love if I just like didn't have to try something and could just ask somebody and be like, give me that foundation, and it worked perfectly for me. That would be, oh, that would be so nice, because I have a lot of foundations that I love, but they're always either like a smidge off on the color, or maybe they don't hold my oil in as nicely as I would like them to, or maybe they don't look that natural, and I wish I could just like take all of that and like create a perfect foundation. And it might be out there that it's perfect, but I haven't tried it, and I feel like I don't want to try like a million foundations just to find that one perfect one. So that would be my wish. So that's the wish list tag. I think this was so much fun. I don't know, I love looking at things and talking about things that you want and maybe will never buy. I definitely want to do like a step-by-step, this is what's on my Sephora loves list, my Ulta wish list, my miscellaneous wish list for makeup, and just talk you through that, maybe get rid of some stuff off that. And I don't know, I like talking about things that I don't own yet. I don't know why. Comment down below if you did this tag or if you know of other people who did this tag. I've had so much fun watching the different versions of this just because I find it fascinating. I love wish list videos as it is. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all the normal stuff, and I'll see you guys again really soon. Bye.